Dan?
I think I found it.
Oh,
It's under the 3 dots and then manage recording.
oh, I think Leon started the recording.
Yeah,
already.
I don't see that either. I see
Oh yeah,
Gemini.
I can see it now. All right, I can see it. Anyway, all right. Welcome everyone. Today is what, May 27, and this is the community meeting. Lynn is not here, so I guess I'm it to host this. And I haven't done this before, so I don't know how to proceed. But anyway, I'm kidding. I'm looking through the notes for today's meeting. I think there was some follow-up on Christian's demo, but since Christian is not here, I don't know what the follow-up will be. This was the demo that he showed on Kagent using to debug Argo CD. So we can probably move this to next time once Christian's here. Dimitro, you did the demo, right? You did deploy.
No. Last time I had issues with my sound, and then.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, do you want to do it now?
It's
ready?
Pretty quick one. We can just
Perfect.
try just for everyone to see what was done regarding the Azure integration, kind of. By the way, I see additional PRs for Azure. I think someone is trying to test some authorization. The new PR is open there. So if someone is here, can talk about that, we'll be glad also to hear what it's about. But yeah, let me try to share my screen.
Oh, the Azure credential chain, right?
Yeah, there was something with the default login, right? And
yeah, I think that has to do with like machine identity, right? It'll use.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, share entire screen. Yeah, so this demo is a very quick one. Actually, on my side, we're trying to connect with LLM hosted in Azure, and we have also some custom, let's say, like a AI gateway for that, which is basically just the format of Azure itself, but it's doing some additional audit and cost kind of managing, because if you normally you're not getting direct token which give you like unlimited access. You actually have some token per employee, for example, and then you will have some budget which you can spend on that. So what I required for that functionality, we needed also to add some custom headers. So the PR which I'm talking here about is about these default headers, which can be added to the all OpenAI models and Anthropic. So this is just a way to add some static headers. For example, here I have my username header, in this case an application name, and those headers are already added in this base client config. So there was a very little work required to support them, because the headers themselves were already supported by AutoGen. So the all work was to edit in the definition of the client data types and make sure they are sent to the AutoGen itself. So here is a small PR about it. So the whole thing, when you log in here, you see I'm connected with Azure OpenAI client right now, and actually I'm able to call the LLM and everything. So just it works with Azure. I think that was the main purpose of the demo so far.
And then on the Azure side, you would basically see those headers, and then you can use it in like the.
Yeah, this is not exactly like a integration with Azure directly. We have something like man in the middle. We have a service which is internally requiring these headers and require these things, but I'm using the Azure type, Azure OpenAI as a type to connect the model type and provider. And this is using all the Azure parameters. So we have here the API version, everything else is going exactly to the one-to-one to the Azure itself. Right.
Oh, okay. But the only thing is you have like a proxy in the middle that like
Yes.
passes
We have
through
like
either passes through those headers and the settings to actual Azure, the model.
Right.
That's running there.
But on the other hand, it's the backend is Azure, so we are able to connect and work with it. So it's a proof that it works as well and test. So everything else is working, plus this additional default headers functionality.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, that's all from my side so far.
All right. I know Denise wants to talk about A2A, and I also see that Namisha posted in the document about the observability. Do you want to go, Dennis, first, and then we can talk about the observability, or?
Yeah. Just you remind me something. I'm sorry. Part of my demo, I had observability in the topic. Actually, just let me finish that part, and then maybe we can continue, because you remind me. Thank you for that. I forgot about this part.
Maybe that will answer Namisha's question on observability, but I know we wanted to do stuff around observability.
So just a few words about it. So actually, this is something that also like very important for me to enable at the beginning, because we want to see all of the things. We have the hotel tracing enabled through option here. So if you enable it, and I'm running here with Rancher desktop, so it's just an internal host. So basically, I'm connecting to the container which is running the Jaeger as hotel endpoint on my local. So this is available as a just Docker run Jaeger desktop with the ports. And if you deploy it this way with kind, you should be able to open the, just a second, it's here. You should be able to open the Jaeger, and you should see the traces, actually. The one observation that default traces are kind of very minimal. You have here some tags. You can see the moment when the autogen is publishing topics or like initializing the agent and things like that. But you see there are like very few spans. On some of them, you can see more, like this one. You can see also here the chat itself. So this is the message with agent response and so on. So, but if you look on it, it doesn't look very user-friendly from the, you cannot, for example, connect it to the actual session, right? If I have a session here and I just ask something and I want to basically go back and look on traces, what happened. I think we are not connecting the actual user session like this chat, this session ID with the traces here. And this is one of the things we need to improve, because, it's kind of like very randomly generated the ID, and it's very difficult to.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's useful, but it's also actually useless as well, because there's so many things that you don't know what, like.
Yeah,
it's hard to correlate.
For
right?
errors, like if you see error, you can immediately go and look. But if you want to actually see the session kind of entire trace with all the tooling, I don't think it in the current.
So let me potentially give some context about the tracing in AutoGen. So I sent you some of these issues, Dmitry, but the tracing in AutoGen right now is really about tracing their event, their framework. And so there's an open issue about tailoring the traces to basically the use case, right? So
Mhm.
tailoring them in our case, right? What we really care about are agent interactions, tool calls, things like that. And I agree with you that adding the session ID, the run ID, the user ID, right? That stuff will help tracking individual interactions it will help tying back the interaction to the trace. But
Mhm.
I think there's two parts. There's tying it to the trace, and then there's also making the traces more useful.
Of
Right. So
framework as
it's
well.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I also agree, and also with Nimisha, that this is this is definitely a very important piece that we are very interested in working with everyone to figure out and improve.
Yeah, I guess, the project is also kind of new, but maybe we should, if we're doing this in the community, first of all, I'm not sure, but if we are, we should have a mechanism for drafting a, design doc or something like that on this, and then get some consensus on it. And then, do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be great. I'll take a note and we'll come up with like a proposal template or something that people can use to just make copies of and then propose the features like that. I think that would make sense.
Okay.
Let me do that.
And there's probably multiple facets to consider. Like traces is one, metrics, maybe logging. So yeah, we can do it in parts. Maybe I saw the issue has some proposed metrics already. So
Yeah,
two
that
calls.
issue is meant to serve as a frame, like as sort of a top, like a high level epic, right? And
Yeah.
then definitely, I think we should break it down into pieces that make more sense.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to help in this effort if you guys require some help, and happy to work with other people also on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I think, like I said, Dimitro is very interested in
Yeah.
this as well, and I think there will be plenty more going forward. So
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, so I'll find like a proposal template. I think CNCF has some, right? And maybe we can just start with those as a starting point, and then figure out the location on Drive where we can like upload them and review them and all that. All right. All right, Dennis.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Yeah, from my side, maybe just a quick demo related to the authentication PR. Let me show. So this one. Okay, so this is the draft because of it should be. There is some kind of not trivial, testing and whatever because of it's on a Golang in a TypeScript and whatever. But the point is to add authentication to add to a agent-to-agent communication because of, from my point of view, and for the all the stuff we are now testing, the A2A, this is the really valuable interface to Kagent itself outside of the perimeter of the cluster, because we can have the single cluster with the Kagent on it, and all kind of the the single point of the termination of the all other stuff related to your company. So this is
Denise, can you give a little bit maybe a higher level purpose of this and like what we are solving, because not everyone up to date maybe with this agent-to-agent authorization. And one thing, another thing, if I would like also to understand the right place of doing such things. If we introduce like authorization, and we will have also some gateways like AI gateway, MCP gateway, and so on and so on. And so in this solution that you're proposing, right, you're trying to give the user permission, user like JWT something to the agents, like you delegate it to the agents. Is it correct understanding?
Yeah, I will show you now. You know, because of let me maybe. So yeah, this is how it looks like, and next I will explain more details if you want. You know, so this is the on my local so controller interface locally, and you can see this is some kind of badge A2A. So first, what we would like to solve, this is the A2A configuration inside of the agent, because for now, agents support A2A by default for any internal agent. So, but you know, for the instrumentation of the A2A for the agent, you need to play with the manifest. For now, for when you edit the agent itself, there is a section A2A configuration. So you can enable or you can you know, disable this one. So it's consists with the skills of your agent, and also this is the authentication. For example, GVT, let's say GVT token that you can share to your out perimeter agent to connect to agent itself. So because of A2A, this is the protocol to play with the multiply agent application, and the agent as a hub, for example, for MCP, A2A agents and whatever. And I would like to connect from my own agent, whatever I don't know, any enterprise, any I don't know, outside the persons would like to use my, let's say, endpoint agent to play with the agents. So that's why we need to authorize it, authenticate it, and authorize it for sure. Because of for now, we install agent with the admin rights in the single cluster. So that's why I need to have some kind of ability to filter tools, to get the role permit or implement airbag, for example, to impersonate calls from outside to inside of the infrastructure. Okay, so this is the main point. I say that yeah, and for sure this is the you can update an agent, and it's change the manifest inside of the cluster itself. There is you can find in a PR, for example, this is some kind of changes inside of the CRDs. So we have the authentication and we have A2A configuration itself. So when you just disable the A2A configuration, we just you know, remove the all the stuff from the agent manifest, or you can enable. And this is the point actually, that you can disable authentication or enable it. By default, it's disabled, so anyone can just ping this agent outside the perimeter, but the GVT gives you more flexible, you know, way to reach your agents. Because of one of the things I have, let me maybe show you. Yeah, so for example, I have my agent, and I would like to configure it to use the agent remotely. That's why I just apply the GVT token that I can generate on the agent, and voila, my agent can actually, let's say, connect to the yeah, show me the namespaces. So yeah.
Also using the voice interface too.
Yeah, this is the voice interface. So this is the voice ops agent, and you can see it just used the GVT tokens and ask the remote site. And here is my application. This is my namespaces from the Kubernetes. So yeah, this is
And in order to issue these tokens and validate them, you need to have a direct connectivity, right? So you're using
your administrator for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
For sure, because of it's the K-agent is more.
I mean the host names as well. You're using
Which one?
between this other MCP and this one. Actually, how exactly you validate the JWT? You just validate you sign in this. Do you have any additional keys for that?
For sure.
Yeah.
So the main purpose is when you start the K-agent itself, you populate the root, let's say root token or root secret, and next you play with the audience and issue. So and based on it, secret, audience, and issue, you generate the token that you can use. And also, as additional information in the GVT, you can pass role base and whatever. So when you receive the GVT, you check this, validate this GVT through the secret, and next you can use the information inside of the container, because of GVT is a container itself. So yeah, this is some kind of things. So security API, to transfer some kind of role-based information inside of the Kadgen, and next, for example, impersonate or afterize, especially afterize. This is the point in the enterprise for sure, because of we have a plenty of connectors, but I need to have ability to to assign the role, read-only, write a permission or whatever for the customer to use this agent, and also filtering for example, tools or whatever, So yeah.
Okay, but in case the issuer and the validation role is on K-agent deployment itself, right? If I would use like single sign-on with Azure or something else, right? I would log in as a user from outside, right? So I have also my kind of like single sign-on, my tokens and everything. Can I kind of connect this flow if I log in with external SSO and then delegate to the A2A on top of it?
It's related to your remote agent, because of your remote agent should ask for the token that each call for each tool it's signed with the token. It's not related to the agent in this moment. It's for the client.
I understand that.
Yeah, but I guess the library, this is the how to say, it's RGRC or something, RTPS. Yeah, this is the library. It's really fresh one, and they have some kind of ODS, ODC authentication implemented. But yeah, we need to play this because the version of this library is about 002 or something, So we need to double check it. But anyway,
circling back on something that Dimitri said, though, I mean, first of all, I just want to say that this is awesome. And thank you so much for putting this together. But Dimitri mentioned, like, is this something that we want to do in K-agent? And I think that's an interesting conversation worth having of like, is this the role, is JOT authentication and verification the role of a gateway? And then it just passes through K-agent? Or is this something that, or do we want to, because for instance, like K-gateway, agent, like all that functionality is already built in, right? So how much of that do we want to repeat or do directly in the agent framework itself?
Yeah, I can explain, because of first try, it was the agent gateway for me. But as maybe you can find on some kind of Discord, there is a problem with the A2A, so I cannot use it because of it's it works partially, but that's why I just skip it because of something inside. For the K agent, so for the K gateway, let's say gateway API and whatever, yes, we can use it, but this is some kind of integration because of for sure there is some kind of gateways, load balancer, and whatever in the enterprise itself, but for this particular case, K agent deployed itself and there is no authentication. But I would like to, for example, for my cases, to expose this port securely and make it public accessible without any risks. So that's why this is the implementation. Let's say this is the implementation and proposal for the K-agent community. So this is something like this, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think we can take maybe this discussion afterwards, more in detail, because the question is like also should we put the code directly in the controller, for example, or maybe we need another pod or another kind of process, which will be like a standalone authorization module, right? And in case we, for example, want to connect it to some kind of some other external SSO or external gateway or other things, it will be like pluggable. The idea is like, we should not overload the existing code with something which is really like supposed to work as a plugin, right? Or just
This is the part.
Yeah,
this is the part of A2A protocol. Authentication is a part of this. So I guess we need to use in case we use some kind of A2A SDK or whatever, this is the part of this. So it's not like a plugin to the system. This is the part of the protocol.
Yeah, so I think the question would be if we wanted to do this, like if we do it at the K-agent level and then just pass that through to the A2A and then use it. You know what I mean? Like, do we configure it at the K-agent level and then like JOD and like the issuer and signer and all those things, and that any A2A agent that you're interfacing with will use that same thing. You know what I mean? Instead of setting it separately per agent, right? Like at least the auth part, right?
But this is the point. For me, for example, this is the point to have this granulated access for the tools, for the skills, and for the edge by the agent, because of in case of this is the single sign-on, this is the really complex things. In case of in this sign-on, you need to define which actually agent you can use and which tool and which skill, so this is a bit tricky.
So it would so it would be per agent, is that what you're saying, right? It would be per agent.
Now it's per agent. Now it's per agent because
it's per agent. But if imagine the case when you would log in as a user to the K agent, if we will enable the multi-user environment, right? Then I can log in and you can log in, right? And both of us want to use our voice agent connect back, right? So to one instance. I think in this case, it should understand also this based on the JWT, the permissions, like delegation of permissions and all of that. So I think we need maybe a bit more separation of that and some way how we will manage it. Because right now, if I understand correctly, you have CRD changes and you store this JWT generated on some, global level, but it's not per user.
Only key, only root key. You don't need to store the GVT because GVT is generated. So you just
key. I know you sign it. I understand. You generate and you copy it or something, but you just validated that it's signed with the root key, right?
Yeah.
This is
So no keys in.
But that secret that you have, that root key and secret, it's one per installation, one per instance, or per user.
Per installation, right?
Because it theoretically it could be also user based. I don't know, like if we will have multi-user environments.
I mean, it could. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about security necessarily to speak like with authority on it, but like it seems like there could be like a root, and then off of that root you could have like per user things, and then that per user
Yeah.
thing can then create JOT tokens as well, right? But it
Yes.
would all be rooted in the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So you can, for example, then also in this case, you can block a specific user with his agents if you want, or basically if user is removed from organization or something, you can actually, typically if you do this with KMS in like some kind of cloud environment, you actually have those temporary keys which are generated from one root, which is never leaves this storage like KMS, itself, and then all of the other child keys, they can be reissued, updated on all of these things, all those scenarios. So because we started now to bring authorization and so on without considering how users actually log in and multi-user, maybe we can also discuss a little bit on that first. Like let's add maybe additional user logins. So let's enable just a user login to the system. And then from that, we can also see how the JOT validation. I think the initial implementation is good enough to start, but we need to consider also this multi-user and
for the multi-user, this is the simple way as in enterprise. You have ODC connection, and you can align this group from the AD Active Directory aligned to the Kubernetes impersonate groups, because of it can be workload identity or whatever you cloud or whatever, because of the service account in the Kubernetes, and Kubernetes as validator is already there, so you can use it. And ODC just to check with the young enterprise connection and user group and permissions in the single point, not an agent, no anything with the application itself. It's just the pass through as a proxy, and that's it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Azure also recently announced some kind of support for the agent JOT authorizations and other things as a standards. So maybe we can also review some of the existing work which is done on that area, just to follow the same approach.
Yeah. All right. Eitan dropped. He said I have to draw. I agree that we need a design doc for this. It's a very important feature with many implications for much more than just 828. Yes. Yeah. Dennis, do you wanna write maybe like a short plan on a proposal on how this whole thing? And Dimitri, if you want to help, that would be awesome, right? If we could
start
take
from another side, yes. I will start from the user
that's what
login.
yeah, because a lot of these things, even for the user login, right, we'll probably need similar primitives as for the JOT and A2A, right, and all that. So trying to figure out what is the what are the building blocks that we have that would serve us best to build up through all these features in a generic way, mostly. All right, so I got a template, a very simple template for the proposal. So what I'll do is I'll create a PR on the cage and repo, and I think what CNCF is doing, they're going away from the documents like Google Docs and actually doing spec reviews and everything in PRs. So the way that you do a spec, you create a PR, and then everyone can comment on that. So maybe I'll set that up today. And then we can start doing, and Nimisha, if you want to do the observability one, and then we could maybe start doing that process. And I'll have to start writing some of those as well, because I was playing with a lot of stuff, and it can be frustrating if you code up something and then it's nah, that's not how we want it,
I guess we need to create some kind of roadmap, so the long-term things.
Where do we want to, we all know we want authorization and auth. We all know we want observability, right? It's
because you can get the plenty of, ideas, and, you can spend endless time to just read the ideas and the proposals, but you need it should be prioritized through the roadmap, actually.
Yeah, so there are a couple of epic issues that we have open. One is the multi-tenancy, multi-namespace, tools, runtime, feedback testing, and observability. So if How about this? How about for the next time by the next week, I'll try to go through this and I'll chat with Eitan as well, and we come up with like a proposal for a roadmap, and then we can discuss it and see what we could add, should add, and make sure that everyone agrees and get their feedback in and all that, right?
Yeah, just also question to Dennis, because he was working on this task quite some time, and maybe he can suggest if we can look on some projects like DEX, from CNCF, which is kind of like a common way to shield all kind of providers and things like that. Do you see if we can integrate it with A2A, or it has some gaps in the protocol right now? Or
Yeah, we can continue this discussion outside, but short answer just to so in case of agent is the Kubernetes agent, I guess we need to use the Kubernetes as a validator itself. So with any plugin we can use. For now, for example,
you mean if it's deployed on the same cluster, or even if it's external?
Kubernetes itself can authorize and actually validate everything through the service account that can be aligned to any ODC provider itself. So the information of the user is it should be in some kind of central point, and Kubernetes as a validator. So this is the maybe point, and we can use any plugin, Vault as a Kubernetes Vault, or I don't know, ODC, the DEX, and whatever. So everything.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's discuss it then on the proposal design document more.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Anyone else has any questions, comments, ideas, feedback? No, everyone is so quiet. Everyone agrees with what we said. So
Yeah, if anyone has a feature that it's actually blocking you right now, or you are like actively missing it, let us know.
sure.
Because
Yeah.
I think this is one of the things we are trying now to do. Like everyone asking this question internally, like what feature is the most hot, urgent, and so on. I think for Dennis it was this authorization, which is actually, I think we're missing that definitely. Some people need observability, telemetry. I think that's second one, right? So if you see more things which are kind of like you're missing on a daily basis or blocking you from adoption, I think that will be good fit.
Yeah, just like a quick note on last week I did the initial feedback feature where when you're chatting with agent, when you get a response, you're going to see the thumbs up and thumbs down icon that you can click, and you can provide feedback if it was good or if it was bad. So that's like the first part. What it does store the feedback in a database, but we're not exposing it anywhere yet. So what I'll do is I'll write a proposal to talk about how I think we should use this feedback. But the idea would be that you would gather the good and bad feedback, and you would have a way to summarize that feedback and then include that feedback as part of the agent instructions, to basically say, hey, here's your instructions. By the way, here's some feedback or examples of what's good, and here's some feedback on what you shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? So we could say like, oh, this response was good because it was very specific, it was whatever, or it was bad because it didn't call the tool, or here's how you can make it better, right? But I'm trying to figure out a good generic way to expose this functionality where anyone for any scenario could come in and say, all of my positive feedback, this is what I want to do with it, whether I want to summarize it or whatever, and here's how I want to include it back into the instructions, right?
I think the connecting to this will be nice feature to improve our persistence and in general to move to some kind of like a permanent database provider. Again, we can have multiple storages and things, and I think having a proper database would really be one of the priorities.
Yeah, so there is a proper database already. It's just a file within the container. I mean,
there is a task, right, Peter?
Yes.
There's a task for this.
Yeah. There is an issue to like externalize that database and have it like be like run as a have it as a volume or something that gets mounted or something like that, so you don't actually lose the.
I mean, we can keep the existing model by default, but when user needs actually to enable it, it should be pretty simple to flip a flag.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm currently trying to look in the direction like of Postgres, because Postgres has also the CNCF PG native kind of option, which is can be a good connection. We can just add another CNCF project and make it like second option to the storage. And it has already like kind deployment and everything pretty smooth working and everything. I tried that from their CNPG project. I looked in all this configuration. So I think that can be added pretty quickly for the even local development. And also because it's a Postgres, we can also enable in it some extensions like PGWEC and so on, which can help us to use the
vector, like a local vector store.
The vectorized store, because not everyone is able to run like Quadrant and other things, on external service.
Yeah.
So, for example, in the current document, I don't know if everyone's seen it, but in the agent configuration, you are referring to some S3 bucket, right? Where we have on that bucket some packages which are prepared. I think this is a little bit like a hack, pulling external documentation dumps. So this is something that can be changed to be a container, and we can copy these things as an init container, for example. When you start the pod, you can have an init container with all the documentation, which will simplify the distribution because we can use the same Docker, distribution path.
Yeah. However, like even though it's just two separate issues, right? One is the AutoGen database, right, which is one, and then the query documentation tool uses like it has an S3 bucket where we created like vectorized DBs and it pulls it down. That would be like another thing that we could do, where basically what I would even see it as, either at the time of installation we either deploy all of them, or you say, oh, I also want to deploy my Kubernetes database or something, right? Or Istio database or whatever.
Right, but what I mean is like as soon as we will have options to bring like a storage like Postgres with PGWEC support, I think this can be done in the more like integrated way, so we can also like provide support for those documentation dumps, and maybe a separate project as a part of KAgent where you can, like we have already one, right? It's called KAgent Doc2Vec. But my feedback is, if you run it with, for example, you try to scrape all the issues like from Istio, right? It takes ages and you hit some limits, so it's like you need to disable it. And I think it doesn't have option to rerun it easily. So I think what I would add there, it's ability to have a cache when you run it multiple times, so it will cache all the existing issues.
So it starts when it stopped, right? It continues when it stopped.
So it will continue only with Delta, which is on top, and then it will regenerate for you this database dump and everything. So we can actually maintain the knowledge in the format of like persistent knowledge as a kind of, containers.
Yeah, like up-to-date knowledge, and we can update it whenever we want. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I think we're at time, I think. Any final thoughts, comments, questions? Nope. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.